So baby's born, beautiful pregnancy, no stress. Took her prenatal fatty acids.
Established a microbiome.
Probiotics.
Microbiome's killing it.
Vaginal delivery.
Yep.
Got microbiome, got seeded in the baby. So now what? In those first year or two, what's important?
For sure, breastfeeding is so important. It is so important, and listen, not all boobs work.
Yeah.
Not all bodies work. So it's not meant to shame people, but there's no way around it. Breast milk is the best food for babies. We talked about Bifidone infantis, who only likes the oligosaccharides, which is the low sugars in breast milk. And there's so much data to show it. And what I say to moms, I'm like, listen, even if you can do 1 ounce of breast milk a day, that is still better than 0. And if we can do any of it, again, the moms put a lot of pressure on themselves. Sometimes just the education, understanding the why. And understood, sometimes it doesn't work. The breastfeeding can be really stressful for some moms.
Right.
But we still can't avoid the fact that breastfeeding milk is going to be our best. With foods in the first year of life, nutrient-dense foods, even when my traditional practice, you guys would be really proud, even as a traditional doctor, I never saw the benefit of rice cereal in babies. Yay me. Because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm like, why are we giving them a starch that has been fortified with iron? Because the contrary is always like, well, I cannot tell you how many pediatricians have asked me that. But wait a minute, how are you going to give babies iron? I'm like, are you kidding? Meat, like liver. So I've been, again, back to the plants, fruits and vegetables, proteins, real food. And another thing I tell people, I'm like, in the U.S., we're like, okay, so we're going to start with 1 fruit and 1 vegetable, which is fine, no problem. If you go to India or Africa, they're like, we eat curry. The baby eats curry. And it's the end. There's none of this like, oh, now I'm going to puree all my foods and it's going to be they eat food and they eat spices and they eat, which is really important for the microbiome. It's really great for the taste buds because not only is your brain almost fully formed by 7, so are your taste buds. And so is the connection between taste buds, gut, and brain, which is all an interconnection. And we want to explore these naive taste buds to the most varied food possible without putting more pressure on parents, though. We always can you work towards 100 new foods in the first year of life, which means you, the parent, has to eat a lot of food variety because I can't tell you how many parents come in and they're like, well, they won't eat vegetables. And my first question is always like,
do you?
What did you have for dinner last night?
Do you?
Yeah. And they usually go, oh, it's a bad example. I'm like, it's never a bad example.
And we were talking about that on a recent show as well, that it's modeling. Whether it's physical activity, environmental, what you do, and food that you eat, it's modeling. If, as you mentioned, they can't breastfeed and they have to go to, a bottle or formula, what are we looking for?
Oh, so the great news is that's been such a huge change in the formula industry in the past few years. Shame on the traditional companies that have the first ingredient as corn syrup solids. P.S. On every food, the FDA requires added grams of sugar, except for formula. On formula, there's no requirement to put added grams of sugar. And when you look at the website of the companies, corn syrup solids, it says it is not a sugar. I'm like, wait, what? And so they're allowed to have that claim, which mind-boggling. I can't even tell you the Federal Trade Commission has come after me many times for things like vitamin D and immune system. Okay, cool. But we're allowing corn syrup solids as the number 1 ingredient. And by the way, as you guys already probably know, that when it's the first ingredient, it's the biggest amount.
It goes from the most to the least. Yeah.
Right. So we have corn syrup solids. Then we have different oils that have been extracted using processes that oftentimes contain hexane and other things that are we do not want that in our babies, which are most susceptible. But now we have brands that are sourcing organic products. They have grass-fed cows, many from New Zealand. They are cognizant of the different oils that they put in there and the sourcing. Yes, so sometimes there's still palm oil, but the palm oil is regenerative farming and it comes from the fruit, not the seed, because that makes a big difference on how you get palm oil. So sourcing is super important, and what they put, how do they grab the DHA, how do they grab the different ingredients. So we have a lot of American-based formulas that are doing a really nice job of bridging that gap when the mama can breastfeed or just needs to to supplement without having to rely on formulas with corn syrup solids.
And how about, since we're in this world, cow, dairy versus goat versus sheep formulas?
Okay, so it is still how cows are bred, and then there's A1 and A2, which is a difference in the casein protein. And then we have the goat, which oftentimes is less reactive. And, this is a theory, so it's not based on research, but we have so much cow milk, and the moms eat cow milk, and we eat cow cheese and cow sour cream and cow butter, and we're overly saturated by cow, so we've developed a sensitivity, and it's become an inflammatory. We don't need as much goat. We don't need as much sheep. So by default, it's less inflammatory. I tell people all the time there, because they get upset when I'm like, dairy, is a inflammatory food, and it's not. Dairy in itself is the quantity of it. And I'm like, what's funny? No one's sensitive to Brussels sprouts. Because no one eats Brussels sprouts 3 times a day. But we will eat cheese, dairy, milk, yogurt, ice cream till the end
Till
of
the
time.
cows come home.
Till the cows come home. Right. So it's such an oversaturation when mamas are pregnant, when the mamas were young, because the body keeps count of all this.
Yeah.
It's not like whatever you did when you were younger, it's going to show up in pregnancy, as is for the partner too. So let's not let the partner off the hook on this one. But I think it is an oversaturation, so we're overall less sensitive. So some kids will do better on goat versus sheep. Yes.
Yeah.